Raising consciousness. You're going to love this class. Welcome to Serving Spirit. I've added a tagline, making the connection. That's what this course is about. I can tell you from having given this course over 20 times already, you're going to love it. Okay, so this is the first quarter. After lunch will be the second, so 4 quarters. And each quarter, you all are going to be doing some working. Okay, this is, yeah, we have a lot of practical tools, but you will be pairing up with each other throughout the weekend. Did you feel that shiver of fear go through the classroom? You know, the greatest impediment to a connection with the spirit world is our own fears and doubts. And the very first exercise is designed to get past that. It's fun, and I like to say this is kind of like going to the doctor. You just have to sit there and say, well, everybody takes their clothes off here, you know, and they've seen it all. So recognize that every one of you will have to work the same way as everybody else, and this is the place to fail. This is the place to screw up. This is the place to try new things. The fun part about a class in mediumship is this is also the place to totally surprise yourself by what comes through. Some of you, I know, have never done anything like this before and have never tried to tune into a spirit. And you may be sitting there saying, well, I know I won't get anything. That's the last thing you want to be saying. I want all of you to have the most childlike attitude you can, that we're just going to play. All the spirits that are here to help us this weekend, your own loved ones who are here because they want to help your fellow students practice, they know it's a classroom, so you're not going to let anybody down if you don't get a great message, but at the same time, you have the opportunity to shock yourself. I think the greatest example of this was a woman wrote to me, emailed me after the class, and she said, you know, my best experience came at the final exercise. You kept building it up as the graduation exercise. I kind of do that on purpose. It's no different than the other pairing ups that we do. But she said, I was so nervous going into it, and I sat across from we call it the medium and the sitter. That's a spiritualist term for the client, but it's the sitter. So the medium sits across from her sitter. She said, you had said in class that humor raises the vibration. So I sat down across from her and very out of character said, well, you're about to have the best reading of your life, so buckle your seatbelt. I'm gonna knock your socks off. And she said, then I just kind of shocked myself and we looked at each other like, oh my God, and we burst into laughter. And she said, I had the best reading of the whole weekend. The best evidence because of the humor and just kind of throwing our own fears and doubts away. That's the attitude that we need all weekend, okay? So hopefully you'll have fun this weekend. Hopefully you'll have some wows. But even if you didn't get a connection, I guarantee you, you will learn tools and you'll learn how to make the connection so you can go from here and go as far as your heart leads you with what you learn here. So we'll take a break halfway through each section, the morning, the afternoon. We take an hour and a half for lunch, which may seem like a lot, but it's not. Your head's gonna be spinning from what I give you this weekend. I've likened it to like fire hosing you. I'm really giving you a lot of information. This is level 1. I'll be teaching level 2 starting in January, but really, this is a standalone class. Your head's gonna be bursting by the time we're done. You have handouts. I'll tell you when it's time to pull out each one. So even if you are working as a medium already, there are some things in here that are basic, but you will learn some things that you've never heard before, and that's what's fun. That's why I like learning from different teachers. Everybody has a different way of working, and this is a place to try things you've never done. If you always work with your eyes closed, this weekend try working with your eyes open, or vice versa. Try different things. All right, this is my method that you're learning here. Is it the best? It's my method. There's no better or worse. So again, take what feels right in your heart. All right. Can anyone do this? Yes, because we all have the same equipment. It's called a soul, and we're connecting with souls. The challenge I have in this course is every time I give it, I have new stories from my latest readings, and I could add on an hour to the day every day. I have a story just popped into my mind here that I wanted to share with you, but I know I can't share all of them. But just last week, I communicated with a man who was in hospice, unconscious, going to die within a day or two. He came through so clearly with incredible evidence, sharing with me a story that only one other living soul on earth knew, and he gave me that man's name. And my sitter went to that man and got the story. So to me, I'll be sharing this one in future workshops. That is proof that the soul is the soul is the soul. I've communicated with a woman in a coma, now a man basically in a coma on his final hours, who come through to say, I'm fine. This man said, my body may appear to be suffering, but I just want my wife and the 2 kids standing beside me to know that I'm not. And I'm okay with this process. So whether you're communicating with the soul of a person who's right here, that's called psychic work, or whether somebody is in a coma, or whether somebody's in their final hours of being in a body, or whether they've already passed to the other side and no longer have a body, this is soul-to-soul communication. And we all are that same energy. That's why we all can do this. Now, how well you do that depends on a number of factors, but a lot of it has to do with your own personal energetic field, how it vibrates, how coherent it is. And we'll talk about all of that as we go along. But the bottom line is, because we all are souls, yes, we can all do this. How good the connection is, sometimes it's a gift, and that's why people are born mediums. I consider mine a gift, but I wasn't aware of it. I know it's my calling, but I'm not like Mozart or Beethoven, not born with this immediately recognizable ability. But now I've gotten where I am because I practice my scales daily. Ask my husband. I'm always working on making the connection more clear. It's my constant, in the back of my mind, thought, because I see how healing it is. My latest thing is now suddenly being able to discern names in readings. And even just the other day got a fellow's password from the other side. How awesome is that? This is why this is a class in evidential mediumship. Why? Because, first of all, what is evidential mediumship? That's when the medium brings through information, facts, and details from someone in spirit that the medium could not possibly know, but that the sitter could validate, or not. Somebody besides the sitter could validate. When I shared the story from the man who was dying, he says there's an important story about a rattlesnake that was shot. She said, I don't know anything about that. And I said, somebody does, ask around. And then he gives me the name Paul, and that's the one person that knew that story about a rattlesnake being shot. Funny, funny story. That's evidence, okay? When the reason I got into this work, if you're not familiar with it, is because my stepdaughter Susan, a sergeant in the Marines, was struck and killed by lightning in 2006 on active duty. And I needed to know that she was still with us. I saw her body in the coffin, and I said, there's no way you could kill her spirit. Now that I see that doesn't look anything like the Susan I knew. And I knew in that moment it's the soul, the spirit, that gives us life. And so went searching for answers and searching for a medium. Little did I know, when I took my husband to a medium, he didn't even know what a medium was. He just answered with that perfect line. I know we have a couple guys in the room. He said, yes, dear. I'll go with you to this medium. And happily, we got a medium that was able to tune into Susan without knowing who I wanted or why I was there. And that reading changed our lives because she gave us evidence. I do a lot of readings these days for people who have heard that I'm an evidential medium, and they've had readings that didn't have evidence, and they need it. The difference between evidence and a message is your daughter is here, she died rather suddenly, I have a tingly electrical feeling running up and down my arms, and she's wearing a brown uniform. That's evidence. A message would be, yes, your grandmother is here, and she loved you so much. She has a beautiful light, and so do you. I've heard messages like that, and that may be very accurate, but a whole reading of that is going to leave people who need evidence dissatisfied. And I never would have gotten my husband back to another medium if we had gotten that kind of messages. Instead, it was life-changing, and here we all are now because of that evidence. So I like to share at the beginning how evidence can change things for people. A woman sent me an email, and she said, Suzanne, my spirituality has taken a 180-degree turn in the last month because I used to believe in a greater reality, but I've had some readings with mediums, and everything they said was either very vague, very general, or didn't make sense. And I hear that all the time. She said, I'm looking for a medium who can give me one piece of evidence, just one, that will show me that we are all connected to something greater than ourselves. And I read that and I thought, oh man, if I can't give somebody at least a handful of evidence in every reading, then I could not continue doing this work. And I said, I have a long waiting list. I said, I'm not going to make her wait even another week. Called her up, scheduled a reading, get her on the phone, and so I said, you know, if she had said, I want the one piece of evidence that'll show me that so-and-so is here, I would not have done the reading. Because we can never guarantee a name or a password or one piece of evidence, specific. But one piece of any evidence that you can link to someone, that's easy. So I get her on the phone and I tune and I said, well, you have a father on the other side. Father, I can tell this is a father, and he's showing me that he passed suddenly. And I said, boy, you didn't want generic, but all I hear him is he's saying shrimp. And I was kind of disappointed that I couldn't get more. Why is he talking about shrimp? She didn't know what I'm talking about. But then happily, some other people came through with good evidence. I was very pleased when her father showed me big brush strokes like this. I said, your dad says that you've been doing some painting, not artistic, but a wall, just in the last few days. And she said, I was just painting our shed. How do you know that? And I said, no, your dad knows that, and he's showing us. Every reading, I love to hear the spirits say things that are going on in the loved one's life now, because that shows that they're part of our lives and still actively watching over us. So shared that, and then I started getting another fatherly figure. I said, this is a man, just getting J with his name, but he walked with a limp. She said, I don't know a fatherly figure like that. And I said, well, he's very by the book. He's writing in a ledger, and he fell right before he passed suddenly. She said, I don't know who this is. And this is when you just have to stick to your guns and say, look, I know this man is here. Just remember it came up. And oh, by the way, your guides are here. Now, I rarely get guides in a reading because we focus on loved ones who are identifiable. And I thought, oh, she wants evidence. How am I going to get evidence from guides? Well, your guides are saying that you've been thinking about a career change, and they say, yes, addictions counseling is just right for you. And she went, ah! And I love that sound in a reading. So she wrote to me the next day, and she said, you have completely changed my outlook. I shared with my mother the reading, my mother was very skeptical. She said that yesterday she was digging around in the freezer and found a bag of shrimp. She defrosted it and spent the entire day eating the whole bag. So now she feels that Dad was there and saw her eating it. I had been grappling with doing addictions counseling, and my guides point blank addressed that. But when I played the recording for my husband, he said, oh my gosh, that fatherly figure is my dad. His name was Joseph. He walked with a limp. He was an accountant writing in a ledger, and he fell off his chair before he passed from a heart attack. She said, oh my, I never knew him. Now, why did I get a father-in-law who the sitter didn't recognize? She said, this weekend my husband is going to visit his sister, who's preparing to transition from a very rapidly progressing fatal brain disorder. And clearly her father-in-law knew that and wanted to get through the message. She'll not be crossing alone. He'll be there to meet her, and that the whole family doesn't have to worry. So that was just beautiful. You see the difference that evidence made. So that's why we're going to stress the evidence. How the class will go is this morning I'm going to talk a lot about the sacredness of mediumship, and then we're going to talk about a little bit of the science behind it, how it works. And we're going to start with a psychic exercise. We're going to talk about how psychic abilities work and why. And why does everybody in a mediumship class do psychic work at some point? Because you use the same faculties. You're using the soul to tune in soul to soul. Then we'll come back after lunch and take it to the next level and work on mediumship and do a mediumship exercise and talk about ways that how the connection gets clearer. I'm going to teach you my exact 7-step method for attuning to higher consciousness. Instead of just saying, well, you just do it, I've looked at how I do it. And so we'll teach you that, you'll practice it, and then you will do it. And that day that my guides, Sanaya, gave me the syllabus, they said, and we will teach one module and give an energetic transmission to the class. So at the end of today, I'll actually demonstrate channeling and let Sanaya speak to all of you. Or most of you, if you've been on my website to sign up for this course, are probably familiar with my guide, Sanaya. So that's always I enjoy doing that, and the message is different for every group. So that'll be fun at the end of the day. Tomorrow, we'll spend most of the morning focusing on the kinds of evidence we can get from the spirit world. You may think right now, well, how much can you get? You will be shocked. It'll show you the difference between what you perceive today in your psychic exercise and your partnering up as a medium exercise versus tomorrow when we show you the incredible amount of detail the spirit world can share with us, and we'll open ourselves up to receiving that kind of detail. And then tomorrow afternoon, just refine that a little more with best practices and not so optimum practices, and then talk about how to get even better. We'll have a piece of paper in the back at the book table throughout the weekend. If you're interested in practicing your mediumship after the class is over, you can sign up there and work with each other after the class is over. So only if you want to practice with each other would you sign that list, and that list will only go to the people on it, and then it's up to you to reach out to each other and say, hey, want to do a reading on each other? How's that sound? Sound good? Okay. So, serving spirit, the sacredness of mediumship. It changes lives. I guess my greatest example of how healing a good reading can be is when I went to speak to a group of ladies in my community. There were about 80 people present. This is a safe group here. You know, you all know what this is about. You're open to the spirit world. But there are a lot of people out there with fears and beliefs about what's right and what's wrong. A lot of them religion-based. So I walk into this room of 80 ladies, and quite a few of them were like this. It was a ladies' club, and they're kind of like, why do we have a medium coming to talk to us today? You know, whose idea was this? So it wasn't exactly a hostile crowd, but there was a little energy, underlying energy. So I just thought, well, you know, I'm not here to try to change anybody's mind about anything. I'm here to share some evidence, share some great stories, let people know about the greater reality and that our loved ones are still here. I let the evidence do that. But this lady came up to me at lunchtime. I think, Bev, you were there, weren't you? Yeah. And she said, I don't know if you remember me, but you gave me a reading. And I said, oh, I think I do remember you, but I don't remember every reading at all. They just disappear as soon as I give them, most of them. And she said to the club president, do you mind if I introduce Suzanne? And the lady said, no, not at all. So this little woman stands up in front of everybody like this. She says, you all know me, and everybody kind of laughs like, yeah, we know you. And she said, and you all know I lost my husband about a year ago. And they said, yeah, and she said, and I was in a really dark place, so dark that my doctor didn't know what else to do for me. And the doctor said to me, you know, there's this medium around here named Suzanne Giesemann. Maybe you should go see her. Her doctor. I'm sitting there saying, wow, that's pretty cool, you know? And so she said, so what nobody knows is that on my way to the appointment with Suzanne, I stopped at the drugstore and I got enough pills and put them in my purse to do myself in if I didn't hear from my husband. And I'm sitting there thinking, ooh, where's this going? Because I don't remember this, And so she said, so Suzanne didn't know anything about me. And I went in and I sat down across from her, and she did her thing. And she says, oh, you have a husband who passed. He's right here. And I'm hearing the name James. And she said, and I'm thinking, ooh, I got a name? That was good. I'm thinking all this silently. She said, and your husband says you're going to England and he's proud of you. And she said, I looked at her and I said, I am. It's the first time I'm traveling since he passed. How do you know that? And she said, because he's standing here telling me this. She said, I'm trying to make sense of all this as she's telling me more and more things about him, like how he died and things that nobody could have known. And she said, and then she looked at me and she said, and your husband says, don't you dare take those pills in your purse. I'll tell you what, I was golden at that moment. I could say nothing wrong to that group anymore, because now the arms come down, people are leaning in, they want to hear more, and I'm sitting there saying, thank you, Spirit, for that gift, for having this woman here, right now. I had no idea. I didn't remember that at all. But my husband will tell you he's lost count of the people that come up to him at the book table at events that say that reading with your wife saved my life. Because people come to me when they're in the most desperate place they've ever imagined, and with hope beyond hope. And that's why I say this is a responsibility. And I don't want to put fear in your hearts that, you might not say the right thing. Spirit knows what they're doing. And if we just open ourselves up to serve the greater good, to be the clearest possible instrument for Spirit to speak through us, that's the best we can do. And we'll be talking this weekend about how to get that connection that clear. But for me, it's absolutely sacred work. For somebody who my whole life didn't even know there was a greater reality, didn't know there was a spirit world, was not raised with any religion, so felt pretty alone my whole life. And now to know that we are made of love, and that's what connects us, and that's what makes this connection better, it's transformative. I wake up every morning now smiling and saying, I can't wait to see what today brings. I am here to serve you. Let's go. So I'm glad you're here. I want to start by helping us all get connected. So if you would all just join hands, let's just set our intention for this weekend. You can join them across the aisle, just make one big connection. Bev, get in there. I had this ping pong ball with a metal strip. I don't use it anymore. But we would give it to somebody in the group, and as soon as everybody linked the hands, the ping pong ball would go, woo, make this tone. And anybody, anywhere in the link that dropped the link, it stopped. It's amazing. We actually get an energetic current going through all of us. Anybody get a shiver with that? But it's true. So let's just all take a nice deep breath and relax. How about one more? Our purpose here is to come into resonance with each other. Let's all tune into our hearts now, where that light never goes out. And I'd like you to imagine rays like a sunbeam coming out from you in all directions. And now we see those rays of light going into the heavens, connecting us with all the loved ones on the other side who are here to help us develop our mediumship. And an awareness that all is spirit, and we are that. Everything is love, that highest of vibrations, and we cannot be separated from it. May we come to know this weekend much more than mediumship. May we come to know who we are at the deepest level we're able to understand at this moment in our path. May we awaken to greater truth. May we raise our vibration and come into alignment with the highest possible consciousness, so that we leave here changed. No matter what our goals are, may we leave here able to send ripples of love out to all those we encounter as a result of being here. But while here, may we enjoy surprises. May we have aha moments. May we be pleased with ourselves. May we not be hard on ourselves. May we play and enjoy each other and the blessedness of basking in spirit. We're so grateful for having answered the call to be here this weekend for the surprises that are yet to come. And so it is. Okay. I've started doing that before every reading, and it's amazing. Even if it's by phone or by computer or in person, I'll hold the person's hand. But otherwise, I have my sitter take a nice deep breath with me. Resonance is so important. Our energetic fields just kind of coming into a tune. They say that people that share a dorm room in college or partners at home, their vibration starts to come into resonance. So I get into resonance with my sitter by taking deep breaths, and I ask them to focus on their heart, and we imagine a beam of light between our hearts. I feel it every time. It's like, ooh, just connected. And then we send a beam of light to those in spirit, and it's really made a difference in the readings. I love the evidence, and I want you to leave here, if you're going to be doing readings for people, or even for your own loved ones, I call it going for wow. And that's the evidence that you talk about after the reading is over. I got this guy's password. That's a wow, you know? Or the other day in a reading, I'm hearing Buster and Buddy. And the woman goes, oh my God, that's his 2 dogs. And I'm like, somebody told me I did this at a reading and I don't realize it, and now I see it in myself all the time. I'm like, yay! May I never lose the awe of connecting with the spirit world. This is so real. I have to tell you that I never watch TV. I really am always working on this, but for me it's pleasure. I'm reading something uplifting, or I'm reading about anything that will help. And we're working on a book, whatever. But last night, there I am in a hotel room with this big TV, and I said, I think I'll watch that. I realize how disconnected from reality I am. I really am. And I realize that's okay. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Because I would say the majority of people really don't know who we are, who they are. And if more people were awakened to the fact that it's love that breathes us, it would change everything. So we're the change agents here. And we don't have to change the world. It's just by changing ourselves that we make a difference. So that's my little Pollyanna speech, but it's real. I've had people get off medication after a reading. I had a mom sitting in front of me, and she said, do I need to take my antidepressants anymore? I don't think I need them. Because all she wanted to do was know her son is okay, and boy, did he show that in the reading. And I tuned in, and I said, you really don't need them. But I said, again, I sound like the commercial, check with your doctor before you get off any medication, you know? But people, she's not the only one. But one lady said, I've carried around anger at my mother for 75 years, and in 1 hour, it's gone. And I say, that's beautiful, but if we knew the deeper spiritual truths, we could forgive somebody in an instant at any time. But the kind of messages that come through, that's the difference between the evidence of the hardcore facts, but the messages are things like, one woman said, your mother is saying, I said from her in spirit, your mother is telling me if I had known what that money I left would do, I would have burned it all before I left. Now that's a message, but can you see the evidence inherent in it? And the woman's eyes get big, and she said, yeah, we're brothers and sisters in court over that money. There you go. So a lot of important messages come through in this work as well. So with the wows, with the evidence, we reveal the presence of those who are not gone. They are not lost. I said right here, you know, the woman said, I lost my husband a year ago. Our English language paints things as more depressing than they are. They're gone physically, but more present than we're aware of. They're not lost at all. In fact, I'm so excited. This is the only copy in existence right now of my new book. still right here. It'll be out in about a week. This is the proof. You know, look it over, is it right? Yeah, it's right. So it says right there on the back, they are not gone, they are not lost, they are still right here. This is what you may be able to show others after this weekend. Would that be awesome? Yes. Okay. My mentor, my original teacher, Janet Nohavec, I wrote her book of how to do evidential mediumship. It's in the back there, called Where Two Worlds Meet. She used the phrase, paint them back to life with the evidence. And that's beautiful, and that's what a medium does. But I say, they never left life. There is no end to life. So that's why I just kind of give it my own twist and say, reveal their presence with the evidence. The test of any good medium's reading, the test of any good reading, and the test of your practice sessions here is, did your sitter truly feel you connected with their loved one? Did they leave there saying, well, it could have been them? Or, oh my God, that was my dad. That kind of thing. And one wow will do that. I had a reading with a medium. She was going on and on with messages, and she was saying things that didn't make sense, and I was like, oh gosh, darn, I wanted to hear from my dad. And then all of a sudden, she's talking to my dad, so she said, but I thought, this is not going anywhere. And then she says, your dad is singing a song. He's singing, I've been working on the railroad. And I went, no, that's my dad, because he was a railroader for 44 years. So it just takes that one piece of evidence that'll change somebody's mind, that one gold nugget. And so let's get going now and talk about how to get those gold nuggets, right? A lot of intro, but that's my rah-rah stuff, but I mean it from my heart. I could talk about this day and night. My poor husband. All righty. We have several types of mediumship. There's mental mediumship, where we're just using consciousness. That's what we're going to be working on this weekend. And then we have channeling, where the medium actually goes into a very deep state of meditation and allows the spirits to speak directly through the medium. That's what I'll demonstrate for you later, but we're not learning that here this weekend. There's physical mediumship, where the mediums move things in the room, or you actually hear, everybody in the room hears their voice. It's very rare. It takes years of sitting to build the power to do that sometimes. So we're not going to do that either. This is a class in mental mediumship, evidential mediumship, and this class focuses on one-on-one readings. I am not a demonstrating medium. I don't do gallery readings. It's not my calling. I'm a teaching medium. I've done group demonstrations, and I just don't care for them, so I don't teach them. So the way I discovered I could do this, if you read Messages of Hope or watched my documentary, Messages of Hope, filmed by this guy right here. If you've seen that, you know that the way I discovered this ability was I was asked by Janet Nohavec, whose book I just mentioned, to write her biography. And so in order to do that, I needed to study her, follow her around a little. So I followed her to her class in mediumship, having no idea I'd be working as a medium one day. I'm sitting in the back of the room pretending I'm a student, writing notes about what she's teaching so I can write her book. And she's teaching this system. You tell the spirit world what you want to hear from them, and they'll give it to you, just like I said earlier. And I'm thinking, really? You mean you could learn to do this? Wow, that's really cool. And she says, so there's a spirit standing right here. I need somebody to come up and tell us all about them. Suzanne, come up here and bring this spirit through. I could have killed her, you know, because I mean, I'd never done that before. I didn't think I could do that, and she put me on the spot. I actually brought through evidence. I said, well, Janet says, male or female? Well, it feels male. How old was he? I'm seeing the number 70. Okay, what did he do for work? And all the time I'm thinking, this is crazy. I don't feel anything. I hear the word engineer. All right, how did he die? Janet's asking me. I have everybody staring at me just like this, right? I hear the word cancer. So Janet says, okay, any of you know a male figure who died around 70 from cancer who was an engineer? And this girl in the class raises her hand. My dad was an engineer, he died at 70 from cancer. And I'm thinking, really? Okay, I just made that up. All right, you all are gonna think, when you do, many of you, when you pair up in this class, are gonna think, I just made that up. And then Janet gave me the biggest gift she could have possibly given me. She then said to that woman, yes, and your dad's showing me his birthday was March 31st and he had a baseball cap collection. And the girl goes, yeah. At which point I said, you mean this man really is here? This is what I'm thinking. And Janet says, get some more, Suzanne. So all I want to do is sit down, right? And I said, well, I see a full head of white hair. So I've heard some things now, right? I'm seeing things now. I can't remember what else. One other thing. And the girl goes, yeah, that's my dad. Janet gives two more things. And I'm saying, can I sit down now? You know, she says, no, give me one more thing. And I said, well, I just saw a pair of patent leather shoes. And I heard the word twinkle toes. And that girl said, my dad was a ballroom dancer. And my mother always called him Twinkle Toes. And that's why I'm here right now. Some of you will have an experience like that in this class today. Some won't. Just be happy with whatever happens, but that was life-changing for me. My challenge was that I didn't feel anything. I thought I'm pulling data out of the air. I went on to go to study with some of the best mediums in the world in England, where they really stress evidence. And I went over there and said, I want to feel you. And boy, did I. And now I feel them every time, and I feel their personality so clearly that we become one. I can describe their personality because it's mine. And that's what I want for you, and I'll show you how we get to that stage. And if I don't feel that, then I don't do the reading. Just last week, I was not having a good morning. That's very rare. Oh, there it was for the first time. I asked, my team is here all the time. They help with the class, and you'll see they'll grab me every once in a while. That was one right there. I couldn't remember why I was having a bad day, and they said, yes, you do, you were dehydrated. And that's exactly right. I didn't realize how important water was, and I had to call the reading off because I felt nothing. Once you get to know how the spirit feels, if it's there, it's there. They were there, but I couldn't make that connection. So hopefully you'll get to the point, set the intention of feeling something different, okay? Whew. So you have a handout there. I guess I told that whole story so you can relax. I'm not going to call anybody to the front of the room. All right? Nobody's going to get put on the spot to have to bring through a spirit in front of everybody else. But yes, in front of each other. And you can do that, right? You knew what you were getting into. All right, so your first handout, human programming versus the I am level of awareness. How this works. What we have here, just look at the top diagram. The stick figures represent a child and its parents, okay? And if you look carefully, the father on the left, all of the thought bubbles above his head are the same color. But over there with mom, some are lighter and some are darker. Does it look that way? I would have to put glasses on to see mine. Does it look a little different? Yeah, they're lighter color than dad's. They're a little lighter. And what this represents is the stick figure is the conscious mind. The triangle above the head is the subconscious mind. All of our thoughts and beliefs that make up our belief system. And you can see that then dad and mom feed their beliefs into the subconscious mind of their child. And so if you look closely, the child's subconscious mind is made up of both. But who else feeds our belief system? It's there in the diagram, right? Who else? Institutions. Yeah, institutions, society, teachers, preachers, friends, everybody we encounter, every situation that we're in forms our particular mix of beliefs. I don't know how many of you have been around military people before, but we love acronyms. So I'm ingrained with acronyms. It helps me remember things. So our belief system is an acronym that's perfect. What makes up all of our thoughts? It's our BS. Get it? So this up here is everybody's BS. And our BS informs every decision we make, every action we take, right? It also is our filter on our lives. And it's going to filter everything that comes through from the spirit world, which in the next picture is up above the subconscious. It's the superconscious. That's where everything is united. That's what we're tapping into. The spirit world is intermingling with our reality, but at a different level of vibration. Okay? So we have the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious. The reason these in the middle one look like little waves, it's because that's the sea of consciousness. All right. And then down at the bottom, what we have is picture a whole bunch of people with their subconscious thoughts above them. It's not really above them, it's our whole energy field. And if we all join together, we're all connected at a higher level. That one level where ultimately, if you go higher and higher and higher, it gets to the point where we really know we are all one vibration. I exist, I am. This class gets into a lot of metaphysical and spiritual concepts. I can't separate the two. This is science for sure. We're going to talk about vibration and energy and thought transfer through consciousness, but at another level, it's all about raising our vibration. What is the highest vibration? Love. So I'm going to ask that again. What is the highest vibration? Love. And so you want to make a connection with those on the other side, you have to raise your vibration. They no longer carry around a dense physical body, so no matter what their BS they carried over to the other side, they are vibrating higher than we are. And they have to lower their vibration to ours. So how do we raise our vibration? Focus on the heart. Think loving thoughts. And right away that connection is better. So you can see why fears and doubts, I can't do this, what if I'm wrong, lower your vibration. That's why we need to get those out of the way. And that's why an attitude of playfulness and childlike play raises our vibration. Kids don't worry about failing. They don't worry about getting dirty. They just play. And it's with joy. So, we come into this world. Actually, I should have a picture ahead of this with the child with totally empty. I have another workshop where I told about going to New Zealand and sitting on a mountaintop and said, just empty my subconscious. Just, I want to be a blank slate. And I heard tabula rasa, which is blank slate in Latin, didn't know it. And I saw this eraser coming out and just erasing all of my BS, because I just wanted to be filled moment to moment by spirit and be guided that way. That's a beautiful way to live. And it's the fact that everybody on earth has a different bunch of BS that actually is what affords us opportunities to grow and learn. I think I need to explain this necklace that I'm wearing here. I have just a few coins on the back table. We ran out. We had one necklace left. Sorry, I couldn't bring more with me. But this is something that Sanaya, my guides, had me design. It's a coin with two sides, of course. This side is the yin-yang symbol, which is perfect for explaining our human side. Here we are in this world of opposites, constantly dancing with other people who don't think like we do, who have a different belief system. And it's finding that middle ground. It's learning to cooperate and get along that helps us on our journey. I mean, the greatest example, I'm going to feel the immediate energy come down in the room as I say this, but the greatest example is Republicans and Democrats, right? This is the world of duality. I can say it and not lower my energy because I see it as the learning tool it is to say you think differently than I do, and that's okay. I love you anyway. So the other side represents our spirit side. with the heart at the center. That's what connects us no matter which level we're on. And the spiral represents the ongoing growth of consciousness, whether we're in a body or not. It's all about raising consciousness. Consciousness is energy. It's a vibration. Every thought you've ever had carries its own particular frequency. And what is the highest frequency? Love. So the more we choose love to any situation, in any event, we grow. Our personal energetic field rises. So this coin shows, and it has 3 infinity signs showing the limitless nature of us and the triune nature of reality. So many things come in 3s. I'm not going to get into that now. But the thing about this coin is we are both human and an eternal soul. And it's where we place our focus that determines our peace in any moment, our reality at that moment. When we do a reading, we really need to focus on our spirit side and connect with those in spirit. Most of the time when we're walking around here in our normal waking consciousness, we're a human side up. But the goal is to find that perfect balance, right? And merge the 2 sides, right? Yeah, I say it's love side up, no matter which side is up. But the coin is just a reminder that we're both. And that's why I watched that show last night about a police department, live PD it was. Let's follow 6 police departments as they're making arrests right now. And and it was like, those people, they're only aware of one side of the coin. The coin represents our wholeness. And you come to know that as you connect more and more with the spirit world, that's who we are. We're souls having a human experience. So this diagram is showing that we're all of that. The same love that flows through me flows through you, and we can't be separated from that. The second diagram here is a little bit different. It says macrocosm and microcosm because the more you get into this, the metaphysics of this, you come to understand that everything is represented on smaller scales and bigger scales. Consciousness flows through everything. The big circle here is actually a sphere representing our human perceptual reality, Earth School. Okay? Our reality, learning, we're souls learning as humans. Need to make a note to not forget to tell you something. What was that? Hang on. Thank you. All right. So on the left, you have the physical field. And you'll see that there's a circle, a cycle that goes on here. We call it death. That's crossing the veil. And there we enter the astral field, the spirit world. If we haven't grown enough, raised our consciousness enough that we don't respond to everything with love, we have some more lessons to learn, then our soul decides to come back again and goes through what we call birth. And yeah, that's reincarnation. I didn't used to believe in it, but I certainly do now, from the teaching from my guides and what others on the other side tell me. And so we go round and round, but I heard your question just now, some of you. Well, does that mean my loved one won't be there to greet me if they reincarnate? Not at all. There's the soul having multiple experiences at one time, simultaneous lives. So your dad may pass to the other side, and an aspect of his greater soul may say, I think I have some lessons to learn, and come back as another life, but that aspect that you know as your dad will always be accessible and there to greet you. Because consciousness is malleable, taking on forms as needed. It's a little deep. But anyway, round and round we go at this earthly level. But there are higher levels of vibration where our guides exist and where the masters exist. And we can tune into all of that because we're made of the same stuff, love. I use love interchangeably with spirit, consciousness. So that's what I'm talking about there. So just the connection and mediumship depends upon realizing we are that vibration. If we can raise our vibration through intention, we can make a connection with other aspects of the one mind that we're a part of. So you all have your own energetic field. It's called your aura, right? And it is made up of all of your BS, all of your thoughts, every action you've ever taken, and the average vibration of your thoughts at any one time. I call it your personal ringtone. So how sweet and harmonious is your ringtone? You meet people and right away you click with them, right? Why is that? It's because your energetic field is in resonance with that other person's field. You pretty much think alike. You love about the same level. Then you meet somebody at a party and it's like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person at all. It's like your energetic fields just go like this because they're not in resonance. And I love understanding this. It gives a whole new concept to meeting people. It takes the judgment out of it. I want you to feel the difference between these two phrases. Oh, I really don't like her, versus I just don't resonate with her. See, that's what's going on here. I may not care for somebody's thoughts or actions, but at a soul level, I know there's love underneath all of that. So Naya gave me a great analogy the other day. When somebody spews something at you that just doesn't resonate with you, they said literally, think of it like they're blowing cigar smoke in your face. And I will sit and sometimes just go, and I blow that energy out around me. And I can really dislike the smoke, but still love the smoker. You see? All this kind of thinking raises your energetic vibration. And the higher your vibration, the better your connection with the spirit world, because you're vibrating higher. I had a lady come back to me after the break, which we'll take a break here shortly, in one of my classes, and she said, Suzanne, I have to tell you, I'm a little worried. I said, why? She said, because the ringtone on my phone is bad to the bone. What tone you develop through your life is what a psychic tunes into. I can sit with somebody and right away see how much fear they have in them, how much forgiveness they're not giving out, what pain they've been through. It's all right there. I can see if somebody's loving. When they sit down for a reading with me, sometimes I'll just look at them and say, oh, this is going to be an excellent reading. It's going to be really easy, because your sitter's energy adds to the mix in a reading. And if somebody comes in and they're like this, well, you have to take control in a reading and say, please uncross your arms and legs. Please be focused on love and think the highest thoughts you can, and that's going to help the connection with your loved one. People are anxious to help. You have to help them raise their vibration. We have to raise our own. It's all about energy, okay? Yeah. When we pass, we take that energetic field with us. Nothing changes immediately. So if you're grumpy here, when you cross the other side, you're going to be grumpy until you look around and feel around and say, oh my God, I've never felt love like this. You mean this was here all along? You mean this is who I am all along? And maybe you'll change right away, and maybe you'll just stick to your human ways for a while. That's how it works. So in a reading, I never say, oh, here's your mother, and she's just all love and light now that she's on the other side. No. I tune in and I see, how's mom doing in her lessons that are ongoing? That's the spiral. We grow at our own rate here and across the veil. So this is a huge teaching point. Make no assumptions. Some people change, and you'll learn as we go throughout this weekend. My spirits talk to me in like charades, and I'll see this in a reading. And that means my eyes have been open on the other side. They will see such a big change in me. And then other people, you can just feel I'll have a father come through just the other day. Your father says I was a son of a gun. Oh yeah, he sure was. I remember I had a mother come through and I tuned in and I knew this son wanted to hear from his mom. So I'm like expecting to feel lovey-dovey mom. And I sat back and I said, your mother's here, but she shows me herself sitting on the front porch at her house, rocking back and forth, and she's watching everybody going down the street. And she's actually quite critical of everybody. And you know what he said? You've got my mom. Yeah. And they'll show me from the other side if they were a hugger or not, if they've changed or not. So the lessons for all of us are huge, right? Let's get it right while we're here. Let's raise our vibration while we're here. But for us as mediums, it's make no assumptions. Let's see how they're doing on the other side and what they have to say. Okay? Yeah. So if we are this energetic field, this leads to one of the biggest ahas I ever had about how this connection works. When I say the spirits are here, I mean they're here. They have not had to travel from California like some of you here today to be with us today. They're around by sheer intention. They live in the dimension of no time and no space. So they don't travel, they're present through will. Because we all are energy, vibration, like a signal. Why did we turn off our cell phones? Because the signals of telephone calls are all around us right now, aren't they? Right? They're in the air. And this instrument right here is perfectly tuned to pick out a particular signal from the air and display it for us, right? Right. So, same with TVs and radios. If we had a big flat screen TV up here and I turned it on, it would display the signal that's in the air here. How many signals are in the air? Hundreds, right? But we can't see them, but they're here. So you could look at a little kid and say, hey, are those people in the TV set? And hopefully they'd say, no, that's silly, right? That's right. Just like the phone, it's an instrument that displays a signal. So what happens if I take the TV set and smash it on the floor and the TV doesn't work anymore? Where does the signal go? Where? It's still here, right? So this is an instrument. And the story you see being acted out in front of you right now is really a signal. And we call it the Suzanne story. And I'm looking at the Lynn story and the Robin story and the Carol story and the Jody story being displayed by this instrument. So what happens if I decide to check out the town and I go across the street and I'm not paying attention and I get run over by a bus? And this instrument can no longer display the Suzanne story. Where does the signal go? Absolutely. It's still everywhere and is picked up by any instruments that are well tuned enough to tune into it, and that's you. Okay? You got it? They don't come from anywhere. It's everywhere, and you are too. The triune nature. This body is a drop of water, physical. But your spirit is vibration. The wave. Our soul merges in oneness with all that is. That's source, that's love, spirit, God. That's our triune nature. We're not separate from that at all, but yet we display our signal in various ways, as a drop, as the wave, as the entire ocean. That's our triune nature, body, mind, spirit, whatever you want to call it. So, how does a reading work? I know, I look at my calendar, I'm doing a reading today for Mary Smith. I don't know anything about Mary or who she wants to hear from, but I'll sit in meditation that morning. When you sit down and you want to find something on the internet, what do? Where do you go? Google, of course. We pull up Google and there's a search box. I put in everything I know. I want to find out about Mary Smith. I don't do this before a reading. That's not what I'm saying. That sounds terrible. Let's make something else. I want to learn about the Del Monte Hotel. So I enter. That was a terrible analogy. I was just thinking, you know, nobody's ever accused me of looking on Google, but I will take that as a great compliment that if I ever get that. I say that what I go for in a reading is the things you can't find on Google. Like your son's showing me a toothpick hanging out of his mouth. He always had one in his mouth. Oh my God, always. And I'll say, that's something you can't find on Google. My point here is we enter Del Monte Hotel, we push return, and we expect that instantly here is going to come all the information, right? We are tapping into the web of all consciousness here that we are not separate from. It's all here, we just can't see it. So we sit, and I'll sit in morning meditation, I'll say I have a reading with Mary Smith, and I literally envision a search box, just like Google, right here. And I enter into it, Mary Smith. That's what I'm getting at. And it's like hit and return. I say to my guides, all right, you know I'm going to be sitting here with Mary Smith later today, and I know her loved ones know all about this, and I hope that you're sitting there briefing them about everything that I like to hear in a reading, so that when she gets in here, they will be right here, they'll be present, and they'll give me everything in the best way that I can receive it. Bonk. I don't literally go like this, but it's like hitting send, and then I relax. That's intention setting, but I visualize it that way, okay? And then I sit down, Mary Smith's sitting in front of me, and I say to my guides, as I'll teach you my process later, come now to the loved ones, bring them with you, and they're just here. Here it is. All the information comes flooding in, whatever they're able to get through to me in that will serve the greater good. Because it's all a web of energy, consciousness, love. You can connect with anything that's out there, anybody. But in a reading, we have such a clear intention, it lights up a circuit just to that one vibration. Okay? I hope this is helpful to understand how it works. We're going to get into a lot more of this. To me, it's fascinating, and it works. Just before we break, these spirits, they're far more than a vibration. We are a vibration that takes form for us here, made up of personality, character, memories. That's us, our feeling. And those in spirit are the same way. They're a vibration, but yet they can appear as a form. I can get a feeling of them standing beside a loved one's shoulder. They'll show me anything that's in their field. They take on form of sorts for a reading so that I feel their field. I invite them to blend completely with me. That's why when I see gestures, they're my own gestures. I see this, I see this, I see this. In my mind's eye, it's my own hand reaching out like that. But it's them doing it. Does that make sense? That's how it works for me. It's going to be different for all of you. I need to talk about the there's a couple more things we need to talk about after the break. But and security. It's a complete blending, I don't need it, of their energetic field with yours, with permission. So let's quickly talk about protection before we take the break, so that nobody has any fears about any of this. Because when I say I allow a spirit to blend with mine, some people might go, oh my God, that's kind of intrusive. So I was raised with no religion, so I didn't have any fears about evil spirits or the devil or any of that. None of that. When Susan died, I began sitting in the silence daily, meditating daily, to see if I could connect with her, if she really did still exist. So without any preconceived fears, I didn't have anything to worry about. And I, in my meditation, connected with love at various levels and came to know that we are all that. It has been nothing but a love-filled journey. So beautiful that at times just sobbing from the bliss. And so I knew, and my guides taught me, you are the light. You are the light that breathes all of us. And the more you come to know that, the more you shine. And yes, lower vibrations exist because anything that can exist in consciousness can exist. But darkness doesn't like the light and can be overcome by light. So the only protection you really need is knowing that and turning up your light. The more you shine, darkness will go prey on those who are filled with fear. And that's why we help them, those people filled with fear, to know they are the light. So I don't normally do protective rituals other than just knowing that the highest good will be served. And if anything ever, any being ever steps near you that makes you afraid, you always have free will, and it's a law of the universe that spirit will honor free will. And you say, you must go away, and they will. That's it, okay? We will do a clearing exercise after every one of our practice sessions to just clear our energy field of any dissonant energies, any lower vibrations, anything that doesn't resonate with us. And it's beautiful and it's easy, but it's not because we need to be afraid of anything. I have a little bottle of sage spray that I used on the room here this morning to clear it of any dissonant energies, just so that we're all comfortable here. But the only scary thing I ever happened in a reading was a guy that I never would have met wanted to meet in a dark alley came through because he wanted to talk to his sister, you know? But he wasn't there to do any harm. He was just a kind of frightening guy that was let out of jail free for a day to talk to his sister, you know, from the other side, escorted by guides. Oh no, I did have one other guy. Yep, came in, I'm sitting with a woman, and I said, there's a man just stepped in and he's showing me a Raggedy Ann doll and he is beating the heck out of it. And the woman went, make him go away. And I suddenly realized that doll was her. And this guy showed me jailed at one time. I said, this is your ex-husband. She said, I don't want to talk to him, make him go away. And I said, you have to leave. And he didn't. He showed me my apology sign. I said, he's only come to apologize. He was definitely escorted by higher beings. He's here to apologize for abusing you. I don't want to talk to him, make him go away. And I said to him, you've made your apology known, thank you. And he just withdrew, and that was it. See, this is healing on both sides of the veil. She wasn't ready to hear that. Hopefully, I hope at some point she gets to the point where she can forgive the whole situation. But the whole point here is you are light, love, high vibration. The more we come to know that, the more we radiate. So that's our protection here.